I'm here with Alexey Molchanov, last name? Yeah, from Russia. You're the world champion freediver, multiple world records. I didn't know what freediving was, so I'll explain real quick. When I met you, Dan Blazarian goes, hey, do you want to go to, I think it was France, an island off France, and do some freediving with my friend who's a world champion? I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. I was thinking we were going to be going with fishes, swimming around. We get out there, we go out in a boat, go in the middle of the ocean. The water's choppy, it's dark. It's like all professionals on the thing. You guys gear up in your wetsuits, jump in the water, and just straight down into the dark. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was some challenging conditions. It was rough.
Oh, they were on a tough day, huh?
Yeah, it was a tough day.
And Dan, he doesn't explain anything. He jumps right in. Yeah. Everyone was so nice out there, though, all the people. Was it mostly pros? Or
it was all pros. It was competition. So I was competing there, and it was just you were flying and had a chance to stop by, so it was good. So
my first time was literally like the best pros in the world, and you have multiple world records. Well, you give a quick explanation of what the sport even. It's so crazy. I had no idea what it was. I didn't even know it existed.
Freediving is pretty much doing anything underwater, holding your breath, and it can be diving as deep as possible, something I do, and it can be just holding your breath as long as possible and trying to dive as far as possible. Usually, it's in the pool. You go for distance. And then there's a lot of things you can do while holding your breath. You can do photography, videography, you can do underwater spearfishing, kill the fish, and just any underwater activity will require freediving skills. And it also actors would learn that to do something like the underwater stunts, or like you saw in Avatar, there was also freediving in Avatar, and it was like proper training process when actors got trained to do freediving.
Yeah. But primarily, your main focus is going deep, correct? Like how deep you possibly can go.
It is deep. So it's my focus currently in sports, but I'll enjoy adventures. Freediving, you can have your camera. I have my camera, and I would travel and dive with whales or dolphins or sharks or sea lions. So that's a lot of fun.
That's what I thought we were going to do, and it was just like straight down, and you guys were just So, looking down, you guys just disappear. And you stay down, like, sometimes you were gone for minutes. Like, watching you in the water was insane. Like, your movements, you look like a fish with the fins and stuff. I'd never seen you move so fluently in the water, and you would just disappear so quick.
It's efficiency. You just train over I compete for 20 years in freediving, and I started swimming when I was 3 years old, 4 years old. I was competing already in swimming. And it's just efficiency. You want to be very streamlined underwater. As soon as you arch your body, you look up, you have lots of resistance, and you'll just use so much more oxygen, so much more effort. So if you want to be efficient in the water, you have to be very fluent. You have to have least amount of resistance.
And I'm not very fluent. So real quick, why don't you explain just how deep you've gone, so people can understand? It's insane.
So currently I have monofin world record. It's one big fin, and it's the most efficient way to move underwater because you use your whole body to do dolphin kick. And with monofin, it's 136 meters, which is roughly 450 feet depth. And with bifins, with traditional two fins, it's 125 meters, which is 400, probably 10, 15 feet of depth. And the deepest I did was with an extra weight, sitting on the platform, something we saw in the movie recently. We'll talk about the movie later. And there, this discipline represented really well. It's extra weight, and you just free fall with probably 50 pounds of weight down, and it was 510 feet.
Yeah, so people that aren't good with directions or aren't good with distances, like when you're saying with just the fin and stuff, that's like going a football field and a half underwater. You're going just straight down underwater. Like scuba divers can't go that deep.
Right.
So you're going far deeper than scuba divers can go. It gets really dangerous and really sketchy.
Recreational scuba divers, they don't go that deep at all. They go 120, 40 meters, 140, and some crazy scuba divers who would try to do records, they can go deep, pretty deep, but it just takes them hours to come back to the surface. If they go 100 meters, 200 feet, they'll have lots of tanks, and it'll take them several hours to get back to the surface.
And for you, there's none of that danger. You can fly as quick as possible.
I can get up in 2 minutes.
Yeah, it feels like, something I saw with the movie. The movie's excellent, by the way. The Freediver, is it called?
It is Freediver.
Yeah, I was blown away. I watched it, not just because I know you. I watched that. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. That's when I'm like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? It was so good. I recommend everyone check that out. It just shows the intensity of the sport. You have to see it visually, all the going under to really understand how deep it is, the dangers. I don't want to say the sport's dangerous, but there is one point where it looked like you almost died in the film. It was pretty terrifying watching.
Blackout, yeah. And competition would be one of the safest place to do freediving because of the whole team. There's safety team, there's doctor team, organizers. You are monitored very closely from the cameras, and just very safe because you have like 20, 30 people like being there for you to save you if something happens. The most dangerous part of freediving is freediving somewhere on your own. Like spearfishers would be probably the ones who would die the most because they would spearfish alone. So if they get excited about the fish and they don't have a buddy who would rescue them, then they die, and that's the most dangerous one.
I was very impressed with the rescue crew. They also had no tanks, like I said, too quick. They were down quick. They had your mouth covered. They rushed you up. They had you, straight away giving you oxygen, CPR. I was like, okay, these people were really on top of it.
And I was back in 1 minute. I was at the surface, and in 1 minute I was breathing, and like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I was already like just analyzing my dive and trying to think. But yeah, people need to watch the movie.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I'm saying to our friend, the movie was excellent. We said, okay, and watch it. I'm like, wow, this is good. How do you go from something like that and then going right back into the water and doing another dive? Because that's got to be really scary where you feel like, oh, I could have just died.
It's hard. I failed this dive, and then I had another competition in a month, another like world championship. And there to win, I had to do something like 100 meter, like a deep dive, similar dive. And
this was with no fins too,
no
right?
fins,
Correct. Yes, way harder.
Very hard. And I had to be very honest with myself and try to find real reasons why I failed. And that's usually very hard to do because sometimes we want to sort of like find a fake reason or like, okay, something was wrong, the weather was wrong, or I didn't sleep enough. But it's like you need to dig really deep and find the real reason and work on this with this reason for a month. So it was a month, and every day I would fix something and find like it was around technique, around preparation, warm up, like recovery, etc., etc. So there was like 5 or 6 points I focused on, and I worked every day to improve these points. And 1 month later, even though I was very in a bad mental space a month ago, I was unsure, I lost my confidence. So a month later, because it's daily work, I could feel I changed something in me which will help me to succeed. But you need to really feel it deep in you, like, okay, now I'm ready. But to get this feeling, a lot of things need to happen. And you can just visualize these things.
Yeah, as a former professional athlete, I could so relate to what you just said because it's so easy to blame the wrong thing. Sometimes your body is not functioning like it should be, and you're trying to figure out why. It's so easy to blame the wrong thing. You want to blame someone else. Fighters blame coaches, this and that, but trying to figure out what really was the problem can be tough. And it's hard to self-reflect, what did I do wrong? And sometimes you don't know. Like sometimes, why did my body not feel right that night? And it's hard for an athlete to reflect on that, but that's why you're so successful. It seems like you're doing a really good job trying to break down and figure out what went wrong. Do you do like a meditation before you go out there, or how do you get yourself in a mindset?
You can call it meditation, yes. It's a set of specific techniques we do, and meditating is very useful. So for sure, that's like in general, it's a good start, good foundation. Then there are some, like there's a moment where you can visualize some parts of the dive, the one you want to focus on. So a little bit of visualization of the dive. Okay, I want to, during this dive, I want to focus on this movement, and you just visualize this movement, and okay, I will just focus on that. That's how I'll do this. And you don't need to visualize the whole dive. Then the whole dive visualization is also useful, but I would just highlight some things I want to focus on. And then it's manipulating your attention. So there is a technique which we call attention deconcentration. It's explained a little bit in the movie as well, but it's pretty much taking away your attention from your focus point when you look, where you look to the point where you look with your eyes. So stop paying attention to the point where you focus on. And because underwater, you don't need to, if you dive really deep, there is nothing you don't need to maneuver or do anything. So it's much more useful to pay attention to what happens inside your body. And for this, you need to stop paying attention outside. And then it's relaxing your eyes. It's making sure like the vision feels a bit blurry. So get into the state where everything is a little bit blurry and you see past things there. And then when you don't focus on the things, you have so much more attention to direct into your like deep in your body and be more aware of what's going on, how to respond to the pressure. The pressure is like really strong.
Yeah, as you get deeper, your body starts pressurizing, right? Or starts getting like crushed.
It's crushed, and how do you respond to that? If your attention is outside, you look around you don't feel your body as well. But if you direct your attention inside to your body, to your breathing muscles, to your diaphragm, like check your neck, check your shoulders, your tongue, your throat, like is there any tension there, then you can react better.
Mm-hmm. When I see you going down, you're flying so quick. Is it just the fins, or is it something where the pressure of the water starts bringing you down? It looks like unreal, like how quick you go down.
It's fin. No. Pressure, you are buoyant. The first meters, like first 10, 20 meters, like 30, 60 feet, you are buoyant, you want to float up. Then, because your lungs are compressed, you will be negative. And then you just free fall.
Yeah, because you were just like flying when I watched you go down.
Yeah, but it's depth. If it's deeper than 60 feet, maybe 90 towards 100, then you pretty much don't do anything. And because your lungs are compressed, your wetsuit is compressed, you're just very heavy, and my volume is smaller than it was on the surface. So then because of that, my buoyancy changes from positive, neutral, negative. Then it's easier to go down, but it's much harder to come back up.
Yeah, because the harder part was coming up. That's what's crazy. You're struggling coming up, not down. So I think that's what people probably can misjudge, thinking they're comfortable.
Yeah. Because everyone struggles to go down the first few meters. The first few meters are hard. You're very buoyant. If you inhale, you have a lot of buoyancy, and it takes skill to be able to do the dive, to this initial first dolphin dive, duck dive, or dolphin dive, and go through this first 5 meters, 10 meters, 30 feet. Then after this initial phase, then it's easier.
Yeah. So I'll get back to fear real quick, because I'm not that comfortable in water, but I was just going down maybe like 30 feet, and that was scary. I couldn't breathe. Like, it must just be such a struggle. I guess you've just done it so much that you still must get a little scared sometimes when you're really, really deep, or you're just so meditative state.
It's rare that I feel scared, but you did really well. I think you did deeper than 30. I think you did like almost 40.
Yeah,
and I was surprised.
It was scary.
And you cleared your ears. There was no pain in the ears, right? You were able to.
Yeah, I was clearing,
clear. So clearing your ears is important. Having pain is wrong. If you have pain in ears, that means the technique didn't work. You did this well, and I was surprised how long you were trying to be there.
I'm pretty stubborn because I'm competitive, and you were so good, and then Dan is like so competitive, and he was just disappearing. Dan was going deep too. I don't know, he was going 100 feet or something for an
100 plus. Yeah.
For for a hobbyist, like that's pretty impressive. I mean, obviously not to your level, but for like a regular dude, I'm like, damn, he's going down.
Yeah. So you did really well, and it's natural to feel fear if you get compressed first time. Then you just get used to this pressure. So pressure is not a problem anymore. Ear pain should not be there if everything works with technique. You feel absolutely comfortable. And then it's about other things like darkness, or maybe you think about some
sharks
or animals. And then for this, you need just to study environment, to get used to the environment. So it's adaptation. You adapt to the environment. And there's several things you can think of when you understand like what is the reason for fear. It could be fear of failure. So there's like 3 buckets. I would put into 3 buckets. It's trusting your environment where you dive, and it's understanding who is around you, are there any sharks, and etc. And then adapting to this environment is important, because if you dive there for a few days, you'll not be as scared as on the first day. So taking it easy on the first day, second day, third day, then you pretty much feel comfortable in this environment. And it's just, you need to be aware that it takes time to adapt to the environment. That's first. The second bucket will be trusting your team and your buddies and your safeties. If there's no one around, I wouldn't be risking. I wouldn't be doing my records if there's no team around.
No, that's clearly not a good idea.
So it's like communication. What do they do? How do they do safety, etc. So I want to trust my safety team when I do deep dives. And then the third one, and one of the most important one, is your trust in yourself and how to build it. And you lose this trust sometimes if you fail, and through the repetition, through this very detailed analysis, what happened, you train, you do like practices, and you just build this trust, and you just know, okay, I can do this. Because when you think I will fail for some reason, then it comes from somewhere. Like maybe technique is not good. I cannot clear my ears. Then you have this fear, okay, I will not be able to equalize. Or will I be able to swim back to the surface? Like where it comes from. Like I'm not sure of my technique. Am I efficient enough? Do I have enough skill to swim? And if you practice in the pool, I practice in the pool a lot. I don't dive all the time. So if I practice in the pool and my technique is good, I know I can do long distance in the pool, then I know I can come back up to the surface. So all this trust buckets.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I couldn't agree more. Being an athlete, I think the confidence is massive. Like we get these guys in these crazy wind strengths, they're so hard to beat because they just like so much belief in themselves. Someone gets knocked out, they lost that belief. They don't have the confidence anymore. If someone's like in a 20-fight win streak, you're like, ooh, that's scary. This guy's got a lot of belief in himself.
Right.
Same thing with diving. When you're just nailing world records, I imagine you're like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
And how many world records do you have?
I think it's 35 plus right now, 36 or something world records.
Yeah, because when I was out there with you, you broke 2 of your own world records, I believe.
Yeah. I think at the start of the season, it was like 33 or 34.
Wow.
Now it should be 36, 37.
Yeah, and it's crazy. We're out there hanging out and like, oh, you're like the most famous, are you probably the most famous male freediver?
Well, currently.
And your mother, bring this up, it's the most famous female freediver probably. Is that 42 world records
42,
I read she had?
43 world records.
Yeah, amazing. And I know that's a tough, you lost your mother in a tragic accident. I saw you guys were super close,
She was my coach for my whole life, and she started training me when I was 3. So I did my I did my first competition when I was 4, and she was my coach for like 10 years. Then I moved to another coach, and my results were not as good with another coach. And then she was my coach when I was freediver as well. And that was my also best years. We traveled together for like 10 years.
You can see you guys like truly loved each other, and she was passionate about the sport. You see in the film like, wow, my dad was my manager, helped me train, and when I lost him, that was such just like a wow. And I went and fought afterwards too, and you went and competed right after losing her. It's like so hard, but people don't understand like what else are we going to do? We're athletes. We need to like bury, we need to deal with our grief somehow. Everyone's like, why is he competing? His mother just died, but it's like that's all we know, right?
That's the best way, like to just be present and just to deal with things for sure. Yeah. And the story is in the movie as well. So
yeah, no, exactly. That's such an interesting story. So yeah, but I'm sure. Had you made any world records before she'd passed away, or no?
Yes, I did my first depth world record 2012, so it was 3 years before the accident.
Okay, so she'd already seen your success, not your crazy success, but she'd already seen. So that's great.
I think I had like maybe 12, 13, 14, 15. I did like 5 or 6 world records. So yeah, majority of the records I did after.
Was it hard to keep loving the sport after she passed?
I think my love to the sport, it wasn't shaken. I love the ocean since I was a kid. So I think it's natural to think maybe like I would sort of resent the ocean, or be like angry or something, but I wasn't. It's natural environment, and it can be dangerous sometimes.
Yeah, because she passed in an accident. She didn't have any spotters, didn't have any.
It wasn't a competition. It wasn't any deep training. It was actually like it's more dangerous when it's sometimes recreational situation and there's some currents and something like I mentioned spearfishers, right? So it was like it was not. If I would be there, I was not there. I was in another country. So if I would be there, I'm sure.
She wasn't even going deep, right? Wasn't she going like 50 meters or something? It was just
30,
like
40, 30,
so to her, that was like nothing. That's the problem, that you start not taking it serious because it's not nothing still.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be like.
But no, I don't know much about the sport, but it seems like she's highly, highly respected along with yourself. Like she helped build it up. And is that correct? That's what it seemed like from the talking to the divers. Everyone seems to have a ton of respect for her.
She was, first of all, she was very kind to people. She always shared her experience. She always shared her knowledge, and she inspired a lot of people to start the sport when she started freediving when she was 40. She was a professional swimmer when she was a teenager and a kid, but she started competitive freediving when she was 40, and the accident happened when she was 53. So she was competing and doing world records when she was 50, 51, 52, 53. And now I know a lot of freedivers who saw her doing that, and they're like, I can do this. And I have friends like in different countries that would be 60 years old now, 50 years old, 70 years old, and they'd be like, I say to me that they liked what my mom did, and they tried as well.
That's inspiring. A 53-year-old woman breaking world records that didn't start until she's 40. That's like unheard of in professional sports.
Yeah, and record is like in general category, not like masters or like some age category, but overall world records.
Yeah, and you're now involved with helping run these organizations and stuff as well, right?
Yeah. So another area why people feel that what she did was very meaningful and impactful to the sport is that she created this philosophy and the system and methodology, how to train, how to study freediving, how to train freediving. Because before her system, it's Molchanov's freediving company, and before her system, freediving was taught like scuba diving. And a lot of the time, people would now still learn how to freedive like it's scuba diving, but it's not. Freediving is a sport. You need to train, you need to improve your skills, and that's like something that separates like her methodology from any other agency right out there, especially like scuba diving agencies. So that's, I think, the big differentiator between like what she did, what I'm continuing to do, and that's why people really like this.
And as far as money, there's no prize money in the sport, or?
There's sometimes in Dubai, there's competition in Dubai.
A lot of money in Dubai.
So they have some prize money. I won this competition a few times as well, but it's not my favorite discipline. It's a breath hold.
Yeah.
And to win in this competition, I have to lose some muscles. I have to be like slimmer to hold my breath longer, and I don't like this. I want to have muscles. I need muscles,
especially
for
your
deep
leg
diving.
muscle. People can't see, but your legs are very jacked. You know, when we hung out in France, we were doing a lot of walking and weightlifting. It's like your legs are insane, and hips. I guess it's all this, that fin, the swim.
It's fins, and I need this. I need this to kick my fins efficiently. And I like depth more, so I would rather just give up this Dubai competition with the prize money and just do my depth, because I earn money another way, and I don't really care if there's prize in competition. It's nice.
You do it because you love it, yeah.
Yeah, I love it, and I'll just probably do my own events with it, and I'll just get like
get prize money going.
Prize money, and I'll organize it myself.
Yeah, you're helping build it. So that's what. Yeah, you do have the businesses, right? You sell like gear and all that. You're like highly involved.
It's education, it's gear, and now we go into events as well. So it's like. Pretty much.
You also, did you meet Dan? You teach, right? Is that how you and Dan became friends?
Initially, he was taught by one of my instructors in Thailand. I think that was the initial introduction, and he was taught. It's all around freediving. So all my like connections, they all happen around freediving. A lot of cool people do freediving, and then we met in Dubai. I was in Dubai in the deepest pool in the world. There's Deep Dive Dubai, which is 60 meters, 200 feet deep pool, amazing pool with the like underwater sunken city with the trees. Lots of things to do. And I was in Dubai, and he was flying through Dubai, and that's where we met. Like we met in the pool.
You know, that's awesome. And he's a guy that likes to test himself, you know, just always pushing the boundaries of crazy fun things. Yeah. And I've done a lot of crazy sports, and for me, that was one of the scariest ones. Maybe because I'm not as comfortable in water, you know, climbing mountains and stuff seems more my element, but just going down is like, wow, this is scary. And like the wildlife, like you obviously you're so comfortable in the film, you're with these giant whales just sitting there chilling right next to them. Like, man, these things look like they could eat you.
Sperm whales, yeah, huge sperm whales.
Yeah.
That was one of the craziest experiences in my life. Like diving with whales is so inspiring. You are there. They're very gentle. They're very intelligent. You can see their huge eye just focusing on you, and you have this interaction. You almost like communicate with them in a way. They look at you, they react, they copy your movement as well. Some like teenagers, they would copy. You would do dolphin kick. I would turn around. They would turn around as well. So that's just.
It's so cool. Like, do you swim with dolphins often and stuff too? Not often, but probably a few times.
A few times, yeah. Dolphins are cool. I think it's very rare that they will swim to you very closely like we see in the movies. They would be usually just independent. Like,
you ever run into like sharks or anything scary?
I did sharks. I was only doing dives with sharks in like safe locations in Mexico, in Bahamas, in Honduras. And there would have local guides. I didn't really see sharks much, like just out there. A few times, but not often. But usually we need to go somewhere where sharks are there, and would go there intentionally with cameras to dive with them. And it's like a little bit exciting. It's a bit scary, but it's fun as well. Yeah,
I don't think I'm really trying to swim with sharks, but hey, maybe if I was in the water a lot more, that I would get comfortable. Like, I think I just haven't been in the ocean that much, so to me, it's like out of my element. So it's kind of like a shock.
It takes a few tries. You don't want to get close to the sharks immediately. You don't need to. I had friends who would be very scared of sharks, and would only start being like 20 meters away from them. And a group of freedivers would dive next to them, and they would just observe from far away. And then next time they'll be closer. And like 3-4 times later, then they're like right next to the shark. So approach it in a way where it's also this psychological adaptation. You don't want to push it immediately, but you can just be there, hang out, and just be there.
I think anything new, you got to ease in. You know, like if you're climbing a mountain, you're not rock climbing. You're not going to go the craziest climbs right away. You got to kind of work in. Same thing with fighting. You're not just going to come day one to the gym and jump in the cage and fight someone. Like anything, you just got to get your body conditioned for it.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you do a lot of training. One thing I wanted to, in the film, it was saying real quick, when you go really, really deep, people start feeling like a distorted reality. Is that true?
Nitrogen narcos. It's true. It's something that scuba divers have because they breathe compressed air. There's lots of nitrogen, then scuba divers would get this visions and hallucinations. In freediving, it's less. It's still there because we just dive so deep, but we don't have much nitrogen. We just don't have much air because in the air, there's oxygen, but there's also nitrogen. So nitrogen is like biggest part of the air, and like almost 78% of the air is nitrogen. And when it's compressed, it starts affecting our nervous system, and we become a bit slower, and we might have some sort of like this, not really hallucinations, but some ideas.
Semi. And the worst thing you could do down there would be to panic, correct? Yeah. That would cause you just to lose all your air. And That's why you have to just practice the meditation or semi-meditation of staying calm.
Yeah, and if you feel something weird, you just still stay calm. You need to have some sort of like point in your body where you focus. Would it be your like diaphragm, your solar plexus, or your lungs, or anything, or your head, maybe somewhere in the head space. But you need to have this point of focus where you can just come back to, even though if you feel like...
you don't want to panic 400 and something feet underwater. That's not a good idea.
You can't afford
because that's how long does it take to get up? A couple minutes, right? A couple times?
It's the total dive time would be 4 minutes 30.
Yeah.
It's close to 5 minutes.
But you're also working, not just holding your breath. People understand you're not just holding your breath that long, you're also like swimming that time. So that's a lot harder than just holding your breath.
To do the dive for 4 minutes, 30 seconds, my breath hold should be like 9 minutes. And it is like...
Is that your record?
I did 9 minutes in training. If you swim really well with a good efficiency, time of swim will be like half of your breath hold time, roughly. So that
makes about sense, yeah. Because if you're not going to be able to hold. If you're swimming, you're exerting a lot of energy, and you're like pumping up. And the hardest one for you is the no fins. It looked like, right?
It's the no fins.
The one you're close to the world record. What, 2 meters off the world record on that one? 2 meters off the world record. And the guy who holds the record doesn't like you very much. Doesn't look like.
Well, it's I think in the movie he talks about me risking too much. In general, we talk really well. We are like we have, even if we are rivals, we would still have good conversations. So I wouldn't say like we...
Okay, so you don't dislike the guy.
Yeah.
It was the way the film, made it look.
In the film, it's just again, the fact that I risked so much and I blacked out so deep. So that was...
It was a scary moment. I can see his argument. Something I didn't like about him is because you got banned because of political reasons. I don't want to get into politics, but they kicked you out over the Russia war. And I don't think athletes should get dragged into politics. Even countries that don't like Israel, I think athletes shouldn't have to get dragged into politics. And they kicked you out of the...
For a year.
They kicked you out for a year, and then people decided to let you back in under neutral flag. And this guy, he didn't seem happy about letting you back in. And it's like, come on, bro, you're not part of Russia. It's not, you're not involved with the war. You shouldn't get dragged into the politics of it. I think it's lame they kicked you out for a year personally, but I'm glad they got you back in. But he seemed not too happy to let you back in.
Right. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm back, and I was competing 2023, 2024. The movie is about 2023 season and my 5 world records in the season, and just sort of me getting back the records after they were taken away from me because I was not competing. So I missed the season, and some other competitors just took some of my records, and I was just getting them back.
Yeah, it's just so unfair to take an athlete out because their country, because America does bad things, Russia does bad things. Like, we can't hold accountable for what our government does. That's my opinion, at least. I'm sure yours is.
For athletes, it's tough for sure. Like, athletes would train their whole life, and then for them, it's really tough.
People don't understand our whole life becomes revolved around it. Like, that's what we're doing. That's how, obviously the prize money isn't a lot, but that's still how you're making your money through your other businesses involved with it. Plus, it's like your passion, what you're doing. You're right at your peak right now, shattering world records, and to be like, oh, you can't compete because we don't like your government.
Yeah. Well, I'm 37 now, so it's take an example of my mom.
That's crazy.
I still have some years. And,
are a lot of freedivers older, or is she just an anomaly?
She was. No, she was just...
Because that just seems so unheard of.
When she was competing, most of her competitors would be much younger, 10, 15, 20 years younger. Now, my competitors will be also younger. I'm 37. Yeah. One of my main competitor in bifins, Arnaud from France, he's 26 or something, 10 years younger. And in other disciplines, there are some guys who would be similar age, 35, 34. Yeah. So I think I'm not competing against anyone who is older than me.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because most sports, the people in the prime are their 20s, early 30s, usually by later 30s. You'll see a few people in their 40s, but most sports are kind of done by then. So if someone 53 breaking, I don't know any sport that's happened.
When did you stop?
About 40, but I was a couple years past my prime. I was just kind of fighting to make money and stuff, maybe 41. But the last couple years, part of it was I kind of lost the love for it too. When you lose the love for something, it's like you're just fighting for money and it doesn't.
And why do you think you lost the love?
My dad passed, and I was just kind of burnt out. I'd done it so long. It was one of those things. I was ready to do something else. And then you're out there, and you're like, okay, why am I risking my life for money? There's other ways to make money.
Right.
You have to be passionate if you're risking your life. You're risking your life out there. You know that. You can pretend like you're not, but we both know you're risking your life when we do these sports. And if you're doing it for money, I don't know. I think you have to have true passion and love when you're doing something like this.
Yeah, I think freediving is just something. It's a little bit different from fighting because. There are these records. I don't fight against anyone. I fight against myself. And there is this number and I need to understand if I can do this, I have a potential to do this or not. If I sort of like I can't make a record because I know I don't have it in me, then I would stop. And I continue only because I feel this potential. I know I can find something, like I can tweak my preparation, my recovery, my nutrition, my technique, as a lot of different things to get extra 2 meters. And that's interesting. So it's like a game.
No, exactly. It makes sense. And you went like the failed attempt, then you went way past it, which is crazy. I think that upset a lot of people, but then, you hit the record.
Yeah.
Or not the record, your record. So. Yeah. So it's definitely a mind game. It's like confidence, right? Were you feeling super confident that dive, or were you going in there pretty scared?
The last one?
The one where you...
100 meters?
The one you failed with 100 meters, yeah.
The one I failed, 103?
Okay, you failed the one, then you came in and went way past the one you failed. Like, how did you feel coming into that? Because you added meters to your failed dive, correct? Which seems pretty crazy.
No. The failed dive was 103 meters.
Oh, was it more? Okay, never mind. I thought it was 90 something. Okay, it was
103.
That's right, it was.
No, actually, true. You talk about this 95.
Oh, yeah, I had a little mixed up. But there was a failed 95 too.
There was a 95, but I didn't really fail it much. I did 95. I was on the surface. I didn't do the right protocol. So in freediving, they gave me red card.
That's stupid, I think, personally.
Yeah, I showed there is a protocol on the surface where I show okay, I say I'm okay, and I did it reverse. So that it showed I was not in control very much. So I think it's fair. Like I wasn't.
I had it mixed up. I thought that was the dive you failed on. That's right. It was the world record dive.
Yeah. So. 95 was. I still failed. I didn't black out, but I got red card, disqualified, and then I announced 103, which was much deeper. Which I blacked out really deep. But I had an illusion I could do this because I rested a few days after this 95 meters, and before the 95 meter dive, I was very tired from previous dives. So I thought I would have enough time to rest, but I didn't. I was just I needed more time to recover.
You're also going for multiple world records at once. Most people aren't doing that, right? Because you're doing like 4 or 5 different dives. You're trying to break records in. That's got to be exhausting.
It was exhausting. So before this failed dive, I did 2 world records like a
couple days before, right?
2 days before. So I did really well, and then I had this big blackout.
Yeah, and that's scary when that happens, but you bounce back and, I think you'll still get the record. So you're constantly traveling, correct?
I'm traveling a lot. I think I'll try to travel a bit less next year, 2025.
You have kids, right, or a son?
I have a kid, and I have some just more things to do, like here in States, in California area, Vegas, and Florida. They'll be the main cities where I would have meetings and some events to do, and just to again grow the sport, do something to push the sport forward. So I usually travel a lot in Asia, Europe, Middle East sometimes, like Dubai, and US of course. And this year I think I'll focus more on US, but still have some Asia. I have companies, like my companies are mostly in Asia, Singapore. My main company is in Singapore. We have a company in China. Now we open in Korea. So
you're a lot bigger over there, but I think it makes sense to build it up in the U.S. because something gets big in the U.S., it goes worldwide. Yes. So you really do need to focus on the U.S.
We already have a warehouse and we sell gear here in States, so it's available. And now we try to expand this instructor community.
It's impressive too. You're breaking these world records while also doing a lot of business and other stuff. So it's time consuming.
It is time consuming, but I like it because sports, you can do sports for a few hours a day. Like if I train,
that's true.
You do training, few hours, then you rest. Then like maybe 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes out of the day goes to sports. But then you still have like a lot of time. You got to do something useful, interesting. I never like to be like athlete and do nothing. I always like to do something entrepreneurial and
use your mind too and know it's smart, making money while your name's hot. How do you train for your sport? It seems like such a dangerous sport to train for because you're doing those deep dives without that whole team there.
When I train, I would still say I have a few really strong athletes with me.
Okay, so when you're doing deep dives, you bring really good people with you.
I go somewhere where there's some good freedivers locally. So if I travel to Mexico from here, I know there are some really strong safety divers in Mexico, like in Tulum. Like Tulum is an amazing place. Some really beautiful cenotes, like in the jungles.
It's beautiful down there.
Lots of strong freedivers. If I go there, I know I'll be safe.
Do you freedive in the cenote sometimes?
Yes.
Wow,
sometimes.
That's cool.
And it's like
I'll have to go down there with you when you're in Tulum.
Yeah, best content, best training. And I'll alternate. I'll do pool training, also with safety. I'll do depth training, and I'll do mobility, strength as well.
You do a lot of weights, correct? Or decent?
I do weights. I wouldn't push. I wouldn't go like to do max squat or something. But I do some good weights.
Yeah, because you don't need that bulk, but you want like reps, so you can do lots.
Yeah.
Do you running and stuff as well?
I would run for recovery. I wouldn't do anything crazy. And it's just a little bit of recovery, a bit of cardiovascular, like fitness. And but I swim a lot, so I don't need to run a lot because I swim a lot, and that's my cardio.
That makes sense. So when you're diving, you're not like constantly trying to go. Like, how deep are you usually trying to go when you're practicing? So I can't imagine you're trying to go down like 100 meters all the time, or are you?
No, it's most of the time it's some shallower dives focused on, again, like efficiency, technique, fine tuning little details. But then towards the competition, still it's like I progress aggressively. And sometimes I overdo it. Sometimes I progress and I go deep too fast, and then I'm super tired. So I can adapt really fast to like depth of 400 plus feet, 450 feet. I can adapt to this depth in less than a week.
So you're doing a couple of those dives before the competition. You usually do a couple of super deep dives.
A couple super deep dives, like maybe like even 5 or 6 of them, and then I'm ready.
I've heard people say that it can be dangerous when you do a couple really deep dives in a row. I don't know if that's correct or not. It's your sport, but someone was telling me that.
It's just you will have more chances of blacking out in the next one because you're tired. And even it's like a one dive, it's 4 minutes, 5 minute dive, just one dive. You're tired for the rest of the day. So it's just like, it's exhausting.
Oh, I was exhausted after doing those like 30, 40 feet dives. It's like, it's scary. You're going down there and you're trying to hold your breath. You're trying to stay calm. You're trying to relax. Starts getting cold, dark. Then, you come up, and every time you come up, you're like exhausted. So I couldn't imagine going down 5 minutes.
It's nervous system. It's your blood vessels. In freediving, the unique component of the sport is that, you feel tired in your muscles because it's anaerobic, you hold your breath. But and you get tired, but it's your nervous system and it's your blood vessels. There will be a blood centralization, blood shift, which is very unusual. When we go down, our heart rate slows down to like 30, 40 beats per minute, and it'll be very extreme blood centralization where the blood from the skin, from the extremities, from arms and legs will be redirected to your brain, to your heart, into your lungs. So you have a lot of blood in the central organs and much less blood in your extremities, and that's very unusual. Like how our body reacts, we're not used to it, and it's just very tiresome.
Yeah. So before you dive, it's a very calming, breathing relaxation. Because obviously, sometimes you fighters trying to get pumped and amped up. You obviously would not want to do that, right? It's all about getting yourself calm before you go.
Exactly. It's slowing down the heart rate. One of the illusions people have when they think about preparation. You would think like, okay, I want to hyperventilate. I want to breathe more because I want more air. But it's an illusion because we don't have any, we don't have ability to store this oxygen. There is nowhere to put this oxygen. So when we hyperventilate, we are getting rid of CO2, carbon dioxide. And oxygen, we have plenty of oxygen in our body all the time. Like if you measure oxygen level in your blood, it'll be 90%, 95, 96, 97, like 98%, 96, 98. And if you inhale deep, one time or a few times, it'll be almost 100%. So there's no need to breathe deeply like more than a few times. And you have fresh air in your lungs after just one deep exhale, one deep inhale. So it's an illusion. You can sort of get more oxygen. People think like, I'll breathe deeply, I'll get more oxygen. There's no way we can store this oxygen. So it's all about slowing the heart rate, all about getting relaxed and really relax your breathing muscles, and start the dive being as relaxed as possible.
So you don't take like a huge breath before you go, or you do?
I do, but I try to do this in a way so I don't start my dive being tense. And people would usually do the inhale, tense up their breathing muscles, and with this tension, start the dive. And it's so much better to inhale, slower, not too fast, 5 seconds. Because you have a mask, you would use your lips to inhale.
Yeah.
Not trying to open your chest, stay neutral, and try to think about inflation of the back more so. So try to inhale in your belly first, and then in your back. And then in the end, you will have a bit of tension in your breathing muscles. But to deal with it, it's much better to spend a few seconds before the dive relaxing and don't start the dive immediately. So I would usually do this. If you saw my videos, I would not dive immediately. I would inhale. And 3 seconds minimum, focus on just being soft. So I can be squeezed by the pressure and I don't resist the pressure. Relax and then dive.
Yeah, and there was a diver that died, correct? Because he wasn't I mean, it's a little more complicated than this, but he kept diving and he wasn't pressing his lungs right, and he got bleeding in his lungs.
Yeah, there's only one case, like only one. It was so far one death during the competition in 20.
That's the only death in competition. Okay, that's good.
25 years of competitive history.
Okay, so it's not as dangerous as people make it out to be.
Yeah, it's in competition. It's very, very safe.
Yeah.
Just because so many people would provide safety team, doctors team, organizers. Yeah. It's like it's so much better now than 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But there was one incident where there was a lot of lung trauma, and then the problem was that there was not enough awareness of how important is it to be soft and relaxed with your.
So you roll your shoulders in and just
you don't want to open your chest.
So you let it crush you, the water.
We want the pressure to crush us, and we don't want to resist it. And
I naturally want to resist as I go down.
Everybody wants to resist naturally. Like we feel the pressure and want to resist the pressure. And it's counterintuitive, but we want to give up to the pressure. And to do this better, of course, we want to do breath work. So freedivers do breath work before the dive. And it's not just static, simple breath work. It's also dynamic exercises like arm swings, rotations, like side bends, and all combined with breathing. So it's a bit more complex type of breath work.
Yeah.
But this helps to be more aware and to give up to the pressure and just be relaxed while the pressure squeezes you.
Yeah, and this guy also, it wasn't like one dive. He'd been really heavily pushing for a while, like probably over pushing his limits too quick.
For the whole season.
Yeah, so it wasn't just like a one-off. Like
yeah. So it was unfortunate.
Accident. Yeah, still a tragedy, but it's not as simple. Yeah, it's like no, it's good to hear there's only one death. Do you know a lot of people that have died on recreationally diving or?
I don't actually have many friends who I lost doing spearfishing. I heard about I know some people who would be like not my friends, but somebody I knew, friends of friends, and they would be spearfishing. But from my circle, it's mostly freedivers. I don't have many spearfishers friends, but some. Yeah. I know freedivers who spearfish, but because they're freedivers, they're very aware about dangers. So if it's only spearfish only do spearfishing and never learned freediving properly, like theory, efficiency, equalization, dangers, blackouts, etc., then the spearfishers don't know like how to be safe really well. Yeah. But if it's a spearfisher who knows freediving, then they're just much safer. And then
it's interesting when you run out of air, you don't just drown, you black out. See, I didn't know that. Like people run out of air and you just hold your breath and you just kind of black out. So if you have someone there to save you, they pull you to the top, you're fine.
Yeah, and you have a few minutes, you're still safe. If somebody there grab you, keep your mouth shut, get you to the surface, like take your mask off, and make sure your airways are on the surface, and you can just like say your name and blow. When if someone like blown in the face, our receptors will feel that okay, the air is there, and we'll start breathing.
No, they got you back to life pretty quick. For a second, like, oh man, you don't look good. Obviously, I knew you were alive because I know you, but it did not look good. And then
it was super strong. It was a very long dive, so I didn't look good. It was 5 minutes, like 4:30 something, long dive. And then after this dive, after being exhausted, I was back conscious in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, you were back looking pretty clear-headed within like a minute. So
and then 10 minutes later, I was giving an interview like, how did it feel?
Yeah, so how's your diet? I know the answer to that.
My diet is, I maximize recovery, right? For me as an athlete, it's very important to do recovery really well. And a few, like the 3 key things for me is protein. I eat 1 gram per pound, like 2 grams per kilo. So for me, it's 180 plus 200 grams per, I'm 190 pounds, like something like 86, 85 kilos. And protein would be the most important. Calories. So I know like during the competition, I would hit, like I would aim for 3,000 calories, maybe sometimes more. Yeah. Outside of the competition, like 2,500 will make me slightly maybe lose fat and like recompose my body, don't lose muscles. Yeah. So I'm in the range of 2,500 calories, 3,000 calories, and fibers. Fibers, I would eat vegetable fruits, like roughly 1 kilogram, like 2 pounds, 2 pounds per day. Like a big apple would be already a big part of it, but like a variety of fruits and vegetables, just to have also fibers, just for their gut health. And those are 3 main things for me.
Yeah, we were eating a lot of ice cream on, where were we at? What was that island we were at? Corsica. Yeah, we were eating like, they had like the best ice cream there, I'm not going to lie.
That was best ice cream. It's not ice cream, it was...
sorbet.
Yeah, and sorbet, less calories.
That's true. No, that stuff was so good. Like everything. All right, get some more.
And then we walked like 25,000 steps per day, right?
Yeah, I was really surprised like how active you were before your dives, because we were out like walking 3-4 hours, out being super active. You like to just stay active nonstop.
I like to stay active. It's low intensity, so it doesn't matter. We didn't run around. We were walking.
Keep your mind busy too, probably, because I know like for competitions,
if you stay in the hotel, the whole time,
some guys do that, but I start going crazy, overthinking everything. I don't want to, like you said, like to visualize the positives and not the whole thing, like little aspects of where, but always what can go right, not what can go wrong. You don't want to think about like, oh, I'm drowning or, you know.
No. You focus on something, like the most important thing that you think will help you like to be more efficient in this dive. And during the dive, like focus is actually a big thing, like very important freediving. How focused you are and how can you keep your focus in the present moment and not to slip into the future, into the past, or like it's so hard, or how far is it to the surface, when I'm going to breathe. So this training of your mind and attention to be super present and just observe what's happening. Then there's little like techniques like attention deconcentration, where like just stop focusing, making everything blurry, get with your mind into your body. But it's all about focus. So I'm swimming and I want to be focusing on this movement, like kicks and the rhythm as well. Or I'm clearing my ears. So it's like a lot of focus.
Yeah, when you're thinking about too much, you're not going to do well. I think it's like that. If my mind's thinking about things, I'm going to have the worst performance. You shouldn't be thinking about much. You want to be focused in the moment. That's when you're going to perform well. I think it's probably like that in all sports.
Yeah.
You start seeing the similarities, listening to you talk. It's like I can so relate to everything you're saying, even though it's a different. I mean, I can't relate to the not focusing on what you're seeing. That part I can't relate on. To everything else is like spot on. So it's So do you guys have like a pretty tight community in the diving?
I would say yes. I think everybody can relate. Like what?
Yeah, because what you guys do is so crazy.
It's individual. We dive alone. There are some team sports as well, so people do freediving and do something fun underwater, some games, there's some underwater hockey, underwater rugby. Yeah. So there's some fun games where you don't focus so much on your inner self, but you play. Yeah. But it's very, very tight community.
Yeah, everyone treated me so good. I mean, maybe it was because I was there with you, but everyone was so over the top nice to me, trying to show me, trying to teach me what I was. Even though I was terrible, they were like giving me advice. I'm like, oh, these guys are so nice. And then they're just disappearing underwater, losing sight of them.
Yeah, people are nice to each other most of the time, for sure.
Yeah, anywhere's going to have a few pricks, but as a whole, it's going to be a great community. And you guys, you've traveled all over the world. Do you have any favorite spots you've visited?
It's all about people. And then I love of course, I love Tonga for whales and Mauritius and Dominica for whales. So they're the best place in the world. Mexico is amazing. Cenotes are amazing.
Tulum's cool.
Asia, Bali, I love Bali.
Bali's amazing. Yeah.
Nice, France, like close Villefranche. There's Nice, Corsica, where we met. Like Dubai, amazing pool in Dubai. So I don't know, like it can be 10, 20 people locations around the world. They're all nice. So for me, I don't have one favorite place. It's all about people. So if I know there are some great people, it's gonna be a fun time. That's something that make the decision. I don't make decision based on location anymore. Like maybe sometimes there's one unique opportunity. I would go somewhere once, but I wouldn't go there another time.
Yeah, no, who you're with is massive. I mean, there are places that are more nice than others for sure, but it also matters who you're there, what you're doing.
Exactly.
So, it's such a wild, crazy sport. But hopefully, it gets a lot bigger.
It's actually seems more difficult than it is, right? Because you did great on the first day, and people think it's very difficult. People think it's very difficult. But it's actually when you try it, and we did.
No one taught me the breath work or anything. That might have helped a little.
Like a quick intro for you. It was very it was not much instruction, right? It's just like we were there.
You were trying to break world records, and Dan's just wanted to jump in and start diving. So
so he didn't have much theory. But when people think about these breath holds and depth and distance, they think about it as something like crazy. But in reality, like amateur freediving range, I would say that breath hold wise, 5-minute breath hold is something that some people do in the first day, just because they're relaxed, etc. For some people, it will take a few months. It's not something which takes years. So 5-minute breath hold is amateur level. It's still fun.
So you can build a longer breath hold.
Yeah, you can build a longer breath hold. You can train your lungs, and depth wise, 100 feet depth is also not something completely unrealistic. Some freedivers, amateur freedivers, would be able to do 100 feet after like a week of practice. For some, it will take a few weeks, 3 weeks of practice, but it's not years of training again. So
getting to 100 feet is not like that. It seems crazy to me, but that's not that crazy.
Not crazy. And then you can progress to 140, 150, again, within a year, like pretty fast.
One thing I noticed you guys too, you were very, very aware. I think we're kind of at the top hanging out, like diving. Dan disappeared for a little too long once, and then boom, you were down so quick, like paying attention. I mean, he was fine, but it showed you like how alert, like, oh, he'd been down kind of a while. And
It's
so
always
you need people that are really paying, and you're just so casual hanging out, then all of a sudden you just disappeared. I guess I can see in your mind, you thought, okay, he's been down kind of a long time.
Yeah, and I have my stopwatch with me, so like that's the body system. And when you go through every level of education, like level 1, wave 1, 2, 3, we have wave system in Molchanov, and there at every wave to be certified, you have to rescue your body. You have to show that you aware of time. When did he dive? How many seconds passed? Where is he going? What is going to be the total dive time? When to dive to meet him? So all these little details, you just train them.
Yeah. So when you train people, do you mostly only train like really good people or people that are paying you crazy money? You're probably not teaching just casual people anymore, or do you still teach whoever?
I don't teach casual people. I would focus on the business, like growing the community. I would train professionals. So I have an event like in a couple of days in China. I will train here in the US. We're planning one for January, February, but it's training in professionals. So we have 2,000 instructors around the world right now. So we have
you train the instructors. Exactly. You're such a level where beginners aren't going to come to you and learn.
Yeah. And then sometimes I would have friends. I would train people for free who are my friends or some interesting like people, or like very rarely I would train somebody who would pay crazy money. But
the same. I'll train like pros or friends or someone who offers a ridiculous amount of money. Like but I'm not like trying to train.
Right.
It's hard to train people that aren't experienced when you're like an elite. It's like it makes more sense for us to train people and them train underneath us.
Exactly. It's just more efficient. I need to grow the community.
Yeah, you're focused on getting the whole sport bigger. So before we wrap up, let's go to Russia real quick. So you're able to travel freely to the U.S. Has there just been no problem with our government issues with like visas and stuff?
I think it's because I'm an athlete. It's no problem. I have visas and it works well. I think I've been traveling to US since 2008, 9. So I have good history of traveling.
No, it's good.
And I can travel around the world and it works well.
Yeah, because a lot of Russian fighters come here too, but I know some of them had visa problems since the war. Hopefully that ends soon. It sucks.
Yeah, I think because I had this history
at odds,
before that. That's why
Yeah, and you're always traveling, never been trouble, athlete. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up?
So I think important point that if somebody sees this and don't try to hold your breath in a bathtub yourself.
Yeah.
Like, again, buddy, like somebody to watch your dive and be aware what you do and be able to just rescue you. That's important. So it's always try to find a trainer, instructor, and try to do this in a safe way and study theory. And that's we can touch that a lot of MMA fighters, people from just in general from fighting, use breath holds and dives, etc. as training. Maybe you can actually mention what do you know about it?
I know some guys do that, a lot of swimming and stuff. I personally haven't done it, haven't done a lot of water, but I think it's learning to like the breathing and stuff. It's a lot of guys do the breathing and holding breath.
Because it
helps calm you. Like, I don't know.
Something, I think the why it works because urge to breathe is really strong. It's very stressful and naturally because we need to breathe all the time. So being able to adjust your nervous system to not react to the urge to breathe is something that recalibrates your nervous system in a way where you don't panic. You feel like you're under control in more extreme circumstances. I think that's something that can be relatable.
The first reaction is to want to panic and freak out, but then you got to learn to deal with the fear, relax, and embrace it. It's like anything extreme. Like when you're in rock climbing, when you're up there, it gets like it gets pretty scary the first couple of times, but then you relax. Or we've been playing paintball together the last couple of days. Like pretty intense, but then compared to what you do, it's like nothing.
It's nothing. Yeah, and then you can being more calm in extreme circumstances, like holding your breath, being underwater, will help in general in other areas as well. You just don't react to something that you choose not to react.
No, I agree. Like the first couple times playing paintball, some people are like panicking. It's like, I'm calm. This is not near as bad as going in a cage in front of millions of people or going 500 feet underwater.
Right.
But, hey man, where can people find your school and your movie? And
I think just finding me on Instagram. That's and on Instagram there's a school as well, Molchanov Freediving, and the movie's on the Amazon Prime and it's on Apple TV as well.
Yeah, it's excellent movie. I'm not just saying that for friends. I watched it and I was like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah. The movie is
Freediver, correct?
Freediver, just very simple. The movie is Freediver, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and it's super easy to find.
Cool, man. Hey, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Winners win. And losers lose. I'm going to fight. I'm going to work. I'm going to press forward. I'm going to do everything in my power to become a victor and not a victim.
Jake Shields!
Two-time Strikeforce middleweight champion. Two-time Elite XC welterweight champion. Fought for the title in the UFC. Is back at 170, where he has only been defeated twice in his entire career. He is world class.